As East Germany started losing human population, it started to acquire a new wolf population. There are now nearly 40 packs in Saxony alone. Think of the optics of a pack of wolves passing through an abandoned industrial site, and you can understand why the wolf is so politically charged in Germany.
You're listening to the Rewilding Earth podcast. I'm your host, Jack Humphrey. 1 year ago today, I met producer Julius Purcell, who pitched the possibility of a guest podcast episode on European rewilding. What began as a story about bears returning to the French Pyrenees quickly evolved into a 3-part series on Europe's most charismatic predators, wolves, bears, and the Iberian lynx. In this 3-part series, you'll hear the story of their remarkable comeback made possible by European nature policies after the Cold War. But this very success has strained coexistence in the countryside. Now, with the rise of populist politics, decades of nature restoration are in retreat. Julius digs into the local stories, how wolves in Germany became entangled in the immigration debate, how French bears are caught in the centuries-old agricultural opposition to the state, and how the Iberian lynx, saved from extinction as a national animal, now faces new resistance. This series tells a story of a continent whose consensus on nature is under strain, but it's also a story of hope, of a new generation that accepts these animals, proving that where there is a will, there's a way to allow the wild to return. In part 1, Julius explores one of Europe's most remarkable wildlife comebacks. Absent for around 150 years, wolves have made an impressive recovery. And their presence is now a testament to nature's resilience and to the efforts of people learning to live alongside them. But coexistence isn't always easy. As wolves reclaim their place in the landscape, new challenges and conflicts have emerged. In this episode, Julius looks at how Germany has adapted, what's been learned about sharing space with wolves, and why the success of the wolf's return is so important, even as the journey toward true coexistence continues.
Es war einmal ein kleines süßes Mädchen.
A long time ago, in a vast forest, there lived a young girl known as
Das Rotkäppchen.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Der Wolf! Der Wolf ist da! Der Wolf?
The Saxon landscape is woods and forests. And if you head south of Leipzig along one of these parks, you come across a plaque and a stone monument representing a wolf. And the plaque says, in this location, the last wolf has been shot in the year 1741 or so. And we could say that the last wolf that was shot there is actually obsolete because the wolves have come back.
In the mating season, the wolf packs start to howl from the next forest. Yes, I'm from here, the area Lausitz, and I remember very well the time because I'm 49 years old now, and there was no wolves. It was the first wolf was here in the end of the 90s.
I grew up here, and I could not imagine that we would have wolves like this.
In the last 30 years, Europe-wide nature laws have put wolves, bears and lynx back into landscapes. In this episode, I'll be looking at how wild wolves in Germany have grown from a population of 0 in the 1990s to over 1,600 today, an amazing achievement. But Germany's recolonization by the wolf has triggered a poisonous culture war. Rural versus city, ordinary people versus the supposed elite.
So they are used as a symbol to something, to a foreigner.
German versus foreigner.
And sometimes you really can change the word migrant or wolf in the debate.
Den indischen Wolf, den arabischen Wolf, den ägyptischen Wolf, den Timberwolf und zu schützende Wolfsart an.
Bowing to these pressures, Europe is now downgrading its protection of wolves. We'll be hearing from rewilders about their consternation, but we'll also hear words of hope.
Wolves are regrowing their population. We can live in some kind of coexistence. We don't need to fight them.
And that even as Europe faces momentous political changes, respect for the wild and the wolf might endure.
So be careful. I don't know how your insurance is, but be careful. And of course it's forbidden.
I'm with Lea Wirk of Lupus, the German Institute for Wolf Monitoring and Research. Lea's work with Lupus separates wolf facts from wolf fictions.
You can, but be aware that it's the edge and there's only sand, so yeah.
Lea's just brought us out to a former forest near the industrial city of Weißwasser in Saxony, near the border with Poland. Suddenly, a steep cliff drops away at our feet.
Don't jump.
It's like something out of Tolkien, doesn't it?
Stretching before us is a vast, exposed seam of coal. At its edges, miles away, power stations belch smoke.
Yet you only realize how huge it is when you see a car driving somewhere.
So why has Lea brought us here? And what does this desolate landscape have to do with wolves? Well, let's go back a few decades, when this land was run by the communist regime of East Germany.
It's all coal-related, the workspace.
Its economy was built on heavy industry and open-cast mining like this. The rivers ran red with toxic byproducts. Then, following the collapse of communism in 1989, the new government of reunified Germany saw an opportunity to clean the country up. Now, this mine is still worked, but elsewhere, East Germany is full of abandoned mines and factories. The air and rivers are cleaner now, but the change since 1989 has been traumatic.
No one wants to live here.
Unemployment rocketed. Young East Germans started to leave for other parts of Germany. As Lea explains, the population dropped.
No, not much infrastructure in itself. And if you have a choice, you will move to Berlin, for example, or other areas.
As a result of reunification, East Germany became a part of the European Union. And under European law from the 90s, wolves arriving in reunified Germany from Poland were no longer shot. So, as East Germany started losing human population, it started to acquire a new wolf population. There are now nearly 40 packs in Saxony alone. Think of the optics of a pack of wolves passing through an abandoned industrial site, and you can understand why the wolf is so politically charged in Germany. To many, the wolf is a symbol of a cleaner, more hopeful world. But to many others, it's a symbol of East Germany's industrial decline, a symbol of threat to traditional rural life, destroying livestock, a symbol, most of all, of invasion.
They mark every 200 meters with urine, so
20 minutes east of the mine, in a forest a stone's throw from Poland, there's ample evidence of the wolf's amazing comeback.
In this case, you can't see any claws anymore.
The forest, Lea explains, is at the crossover between two wolf packs, so she's seeing lots of territorial markings and scratchings
normally,
in the soil.
If it's a fresh one, you have some claw marks in the scratching. Here's another sketch.
Lea is an absolute connoisseur of wolf scat.
You start thinking about scat a lot. Talking about it a lot. And they are so diverse.
Lea can tell what the wolf's eaten just from looking at the hairs in the scat.
Soft and short hair and not the structure of red and roe-deer. So it's something else. Maybe a hare itself, or fox would be more reddish, of course.
Deep in the forest is Lupus's camera trap. It's time to see the evidence.
control, the last one was on the 25th of February. Now 2 days later, or nights later, there's the first wolf. There's another one. As you can see. There's another one. So it's a pack. So a pack is counted if there are more than 2 wolves. Oh, and there's another one, so it's getting 4.
To those for whom rewilding offers glimmers of hope in a nature-depleted world,
yet now it's 5.
this really is a joyous place to be, amid the sigh of the pines and the spring bird song.
6,
Not far
7,
from us, wolves have returned to these forests.
And 8, 9, 10, and a better.
Such a view, of course, has powerful opposition. That's the voice of Carsten Hilse, speaking in Germany's parliament. A lawmaker in the radical right-wing Alternative for Germany, or AfD party, Hilse is a staunch critic of Germany's wolf recolonization program. Nobody asked us that they could carry out this wolf experiment, he's saying. It's a large predator, a wolf, and it lives in sparsely populated areas. To bring it to a densely populated country like this is just not responsible. A few miles from the forest, Leia is now walking slowly down a busy main road.
A local living over there, she saw a scat in the morning, and a very fresh one. Oh, stop, maybe this one behind you?
Yeah, that's the picture she showed me, because I
She
made
scrapes
it
the surface of the scat to collect genetic information. This may help her identify the wolf individual and get some sense of a change in his behaviour or movement.
It's since 2021 that we have this pack with a lot of sightings.
The politician Carsten Hilse would say, no doubt, that finding wolf scat by a busy main road where children pass on bikes would prove his point. To him and other anti-wolf politicians, it's just unnatural that wolves inhabit this populated landscape. Lupus's headquarters is a house in a quiet village by the Spree, the river that, 100 miles to the north, will flow through the heart of Berlin. Leia and her colleagues' desks are strewn with scat sample bottles and GPS collars. On a computer screen is a map of Saxony. Red rings on the map show wolf territories across the region.
We can move to the kitchen.
The coffee is...
In the kitchen, I meet Ilka Reinhardt and Geza Kluth, co-founders of Lupus and among the most distinguished wolf experts in Europe.
Dominated nature, I think.
They talk about how attitudes to wolves seem to derive from a need to control nature. Geza Kluth.
That is something that people still feel today. You know, when they see a wolf, they have this feeling that they can't control this animal, that this animal does what it wants. So this very strange thing to if you see a roe deer or a fox, then you think, wow, a nice piece of wilderness to watch. And if you see a wolf, you're like, oh my God, what is he planning? What is he doing? And you know, it's really strange that people see wolves so differently.
So I spell out Carsten Hilse's line that East Germany is not Yellowstone or Minnesota. There's dense population here, roads, crops, infrastructure. But as Ilka points out, cultural prejudices about wolves only being able to live in supposedly empty landscapes has nothing to do with the ecological reality of Central Europe.
So we often hear, wow, we have much more wolves in the areas than they have in Sweden. I said, of course, that's normal, because we have more roe deer and more deer and so on. So wolves have much more to eat in our area than they have in Sweden. So it's normal that our density is higher.
They don't come back to Germany to do something bad to people. They just live their lives.
The wolf population in Poland started growing in the 1980s.
First, they came back from the east of Poland. They were
lone wolves that ventured into communist East Germany, then of course still wolf-free, did not last long.
Went into Germany, into that territory. They were shot then in the 80s. But then the legislation changed in all of Germany after the reunification. So in the 90s, Some wolves came back.
The legislation that Ilka is talking about is the European Union's Habitats Directive, a 1992 piece of legislation that sounds very dull, but has been the pillar of nature restoration across Europe for an entire generation. Thanks to the Habitats Directive, the grey wolf has enjoyed high levels of protection.
Wolves from western Poland showed up here in the area in 2000 and had the first pups. It was the first possibility to spread. And in the first years, the pack here reproduced. There could not be other packs because there was no possibility to mate with a foreign wolf for the daughters of this pack. So it took 5 years until the first daughter of the first pack could reproduce in Germany, and so the next pack was established.
And from there, this highly adaptable species took off in Germany. Its population rapidly expanded northwest to the border with Denmark. Swathes of Germany re-wolfed, amazing, until its success became entangled in the political storm that is now rocking the country. In 2015, German leader Angela Merkel decided to admit a large number of refugees into Germany. Most were fleeing the brutal civil war in Syria. In the end, over 1 million refugees were admitted to Germany in 2015 alone. Merkel reminded skeptics of the idea that Germany was a strong country and uttered these now famous words, "Wir schaffen das." We'll handle it. Now, many Germans think she did handle it. Some see what she did as an act of supreme moral leadership, but to many other Germans it was reckless. While the vast majority of immigrants are law-abiding, there have been acts of violence, some terror incidents, and cases of young immigrant men sexually harassing women. To Carsten Hilse's AfD party, hostility to the recolonization of the wolf at the behest of the globalist European Union was already proving a vote winner in East Germany. By the time he's making this 2018 speech, the threat of the invading wolf is directly compared to the threat from migrants. The settlement of wolves, he's saying, and the migration crisis show many parallels. We see here a unique experiment. To transform a mono-ethnic and monocultural democracy into a multi-ethnic one. I ask you, who gave you the right to carry out this experiment on us? There are rapes, there are murders.
Ihre nächsten Anschlüsse RE6 nach Chemnitz Hauptbahnhof über Bad Lausig, Abfahrt 11 Uhr.
I'm in Saxony's largest city, Leipzig.
I'm usually on time for my classes.
I'm here to meet Rebecca Pates, Professor of Political Theory at the University of Leipzig.
What we saw after 1989, with the deindustrialization came depopulation, and with depopulation came a renaturing.
Rebecca's recent book is entitled The Wolves Are Coming Back.
So the wolves are coming back from the east.
On this chilly March morning, walking briskly round Leipzig's Johannespark, Rebecca sums up the interlocking resentments behind what she calls Germany's wolf politics.
Right-wing parties have used the wolf as a metaphor for the endangerment of the German way of life. The Syrian migrant is seen as predatorial towards German women, and it is the role of the AfD in these discourses to save German womanhood from both migrants and wolves. So what we call wolf politics works mainly on the basis of affects.
Affects, strong emotions, are aroused through the telling of stories. The stories don't have to be based on truth.
Wolves do not naturally attack humans, just as the average Syrian does not attack the German population. These are all metaphors that play on a tune of fear. It's the Little Red Riding Hood narrative. It could happen, And those up there, or those in the West, or those who are into green politics don't care about us.
Alas for the wolf, these political narratives, many of which are based on information that is distorted or outright false, are changing the European Union's long-standing policy on wolf protection. A few weeks before I came to Germany to record, the country had held federal elections. Carsten Hilser's AfD party became the second political force in the land. AfD's success in Europe's most powerful democracy has rattled the European Union. For 30 years, the European Union has championed and financed nature restoration across the continent. But it is now in retreat from those values.
And a lot of politicians, including at the EU level, are trying to anticipate that shift to the right by articulating policies that are less green, less friendly to migrants, and certainly less friendly to wolves.
Remember the Habitats Directive, that 1992 law that protected the wolf? Well, it's now being watered down. The protection status of the wolf has now been lowered across the European Union. Although member states can opt to keep the status as highly protected, less protection for wolves now seems to be the new normal. Across Europe, then, there will be wolf culls. Lupus's Geza Kluth explains the importance of this change.
For many years, it was very much that the European Union was being very stable with wolf conservation. They were like, no, do not panic, you get so much money. They never had this agenda to lower the protection status.
So wolves are losing highly protected status, but they're still protected. Is that reassuring? Well, not if you believe that our best hope lies in rewilding. The EU's objective 30 years ago in the Habitats Directive was that the wolf attain what it calls favourable conservation status. Ilka Reinhardt explains what that term means.
Yeah, it just means that the animal or the species, they are really playing the ecological role that they should play in a very large area, and then so that it's really safe, even in 100 years. Even with all climate change things that are going on, this species will be here in 100 years.
For years, anti-wolf groups have been arguing that the wolf has already attained favourable conservation status. But these arguments are based on a reductive idea of what that status means.
Some of this interest group since years make pressure and say, we already have the favourable conservation status. And they simply stick to the numbers. Say, oh, so many wolves, that's enough. And it's much, much more than just numbers. As I said, it's the range, it's the healthy of how healthy a population is. Like, for instance, a population like in Scandinavia that's so heavily inbred that cannot be in favourable conservation status, even if you have a high number.
And such a reductive idea misses the ecological point of restoring wolves to these landscapes. Geza Kluth.
If you have roe deer and red deer and wild boar, you also need the wolf. It just belongs there. They all belong
here. They all
here.
belong here. It's just a piece of the puzzle that belongs there. The roe deer and the deer and the wild boar are the way they are because they have evolved together with predators. So it's like they belong together.
Now, of course, livestock farmers have a clear grievance. According to the European Union, wolves kill nearly 48,000 sheep and goats a year. That's about 0.07% of the total sheep and goat stock. Ilka and Geza insist that subsidised measures to stop wolves from attacks on livestock, such as fences, do work, but neither media nor the hunters nor the far-right politicians are interested in covering the success stories.
Read about when you don't have damages and people living there with their sheep that have almost never damages.
In the course of making this series, I come back to this binary view of the world time and time again. For those who don't like wildness, the problems are insurmountable. For those that want wildness back, they're problems that can fairly easily be solved.
So the wolves are just a symbol. Do people in the society want to deal with these obstacles or not? Or do they want to kill them?
It seems to be an issue of culture. And one thing that I'm hearing from Ilka, Geza and several other people that I talk to in Saxony is that there is a nearby culture that's more open to the wolf. It's after dark in late March. I'm in a rural guest house on the Polish side of the border. We're in the garden where my hosts have lit a fire. Some beers have just been opened, and it's a good time to talk about wolves.
Our neighbor's daughter, a few weeks ago, she was in the forest alone.
Alicia is an artist in her mid-20s. She grew up in a city in the north of Poland and is now living here in the middle of the forest.
And she saw some huge wolf, and she started shouting loudly and to scare the wolf.
Have you seen a wolf?
No, not really. But I know that Pavel seen a wolf a few times.
Yeah, I seen the wolf a few times as well. We was passing through the village about 10 at night. I didn't expect it's going to be big like this. I don't know how to describe it really. Impressed, let's say.
No to
teraz, ale czy wcześniej tak nie było?
Wcześniej nie było.
Pavel's parents are in their late 60s. They've seen this great ecological change in Poland across their lifetimes. Pavel translates.
So my mom grew up here and she said before you just hear stories about wolves. Now you see wolves, so you know lots of people who seen the wolves, so it's quite a lot of people meeting the wolves or wolves coming to the villages now these days, yeah.
On the edge of their village, they recently watched two wolves chasing a deer. The wolves ran off when they saw them. Pavel's mother says wolves make her uneasy. Pavel's father, though, sees it a bit differently.
So he is afraid more of the wild boars than the wolves. He says for him it's like you have these cartoons and stories about wolves all the time, and then you think they so scary, but it's not, he thinks it's not the case.
Of course, the picture's mixed. Polish livestock farmers are often anti-wolf. Many wolves are illegally shot in Poland. But a 2017 survey of rural people from 6 Polish regions show a majority of respondents stated neutral or positive attitudes towards wolves. Now in Poland you hear the same gripes from rural people as in East Germany against the European Union, against elites and falling standards of living. But wolves don't seem to stoke that much political heat. A little down the valley from Pavel's homestead, we find positive enthusiasm.
You know, I think that for a lot of people who are living in that area, they are very proud of having those wolves.
Wawrzynik, in his 40s, is a psychologist from Warsaw, now living with his partner in a house deep in this forest.
That it is so wild and that there is not so many places that you may meet wolf in person.
In the course of making this series, a pattern keeps emerging. In places where predators have maintained a baseline, albeit low, be they wolves, bears or lynx, people are more prepared to share their lives with them despite the inconveniences. It becomes part of that rural culture.
So education works very well because everyone are told to keep their dogs in safe spaces, not like outside, because it is understandable that wolves may come and take them. And people wasn't annoyed about wolves, but annoyed by someone who hasn't closed the kennel, because they know that it's in their nature. So, because people who are living here, they live close to the nature, for them it is understandable that wolves, they have right to live. And it's not like struggle against them.
Yeah. In West Poland, they are more connected with nature a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know.
There's more of a culture of the wild.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Back on the German side of the border, Stefan Kaska is trying to bring some of that more easygoing wolf culture into the lives of young Germans. Stefan first fell in love with wolves at the age of 12, when Germany still had no wild wolves.
Yeah. The people who hate the wolves make more noise here. For example, we have around 40 packs, wolf packs in Saxony, and a wolf pack needs one animal like a big sheep for a day. And if the wolf eat every day a sheep, the wolf pack, we have 17,000 killed sheep, but we have 500. 16,500 sheep are not killed. We have more sheep in Saxony than since 2016. The wolves are growing and the sheep too. And a lot of people say, okay, you can't have livestock animals because wolf will eat everything, but it's not true. Oder der Jäger hier hast du gesagt. Ja.
He's about to give a talk to German school kids at a community center.
Ich heiße Stefan und bin aus Hoyerswerda. Und es geht ja hier, I think my job is not to say only the positive things. My job is to give information, that the people have a little bit knowledge and then they can think what they want about wolves. Not so like, look to the wolf, it's a good animal or something. Vorträge und Exkursionen machen soll zum Thema Wolf. He is not bad or good. He is an animal, he is in the nature around, not only in the forest, and it's easy to shot them, but it's not easy to live together.
Stefan introduces the kids to his Alsatian, Anima, and takes us all out into the woods.
Anima, wo ist dein Platz? Wo ist dein Platz?
Showing how Anima uses her amazing sense of smell and tracking skills, he compares her instincts with those of her close cousins, the wolves. The kids love it. Now, there's an irony in that. Anti-wolf rhetoric taps into the Red Riding Hood myth to suggest that wolves are a threat to children. And yet, an entire generation of children have grown up in East Germany with wolves in their landscapes. And the world didn't end. Some of these children may even shape a future Germany that can learn to value and esteem its wolves and the wildness that they represent. Across East Germany, as spring takes hold, the new wolf pups will start to be born. By the winter after next, there'll be young adults, forming new packs, extending the tread of the wolf through these forests that, except for a brief parenthesis of little more than 2 centuries, have for hundreds of thousands of years been their home.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you don't miss the next episode in the Wolf Bear Lynx series. Subscribe to the Rewilding Institute's weekly digest and this podcast at rewilding.org/subscribe. Please consider making a donation at rewilding.org/donate if you're a fan of the podcast. And be sure to share this episode with friends. Thanks.